I haven't had my children yet. I'm 39 next week and I want to have a family. So I was just like, I need to sort myself out. If you're proud of what you're doing and you are doing a good job, I think then you should shout about it. A lot of the time we are just wearing a mask, aren't we? If you're given an opportunity or are asked for the opportunity. We're going to be 10 in May next year as a company, and we are a team of 8 women.
For the women tuning in right now, right here today, this episode is for you if you've been feeling like you can't have your career and face it around your family at the same time. You know, this episode is here brought to you to unpack what it's like to build a phenomenal business, or, you know, if you want to be employed and you want to have that safe, secure, stable income, but you still want the flexibility of working around your family. In the 10 years that I've been in financial services, I've had so many conversations with women who have said that, you know, they went back from maternity and their job wasn't available, or their boss found out that they were pregnant and they were like, oh my God, you know, I'm not being treated the same, or I'm not getting the same opportunities as my male counterparts. Or other women who have potentially decided to venture out into being self-employed, but actually can't juggle it all. So they want like a hybrid role, or something that is flexible enough around the family, but still feels like your career is yours and that you can be proud of it. So I am really privileged today to invite someone in the industry that I have been following, admiring, really seeing her excel, win awards back to back, be nominated for being a champion for women, building her brand in an unstoppable, unmissable, and also really authentically herself. And it's just so refreshing to see different brands emerge out of like the mortgage and protection and finance industry that really shows us how diverse this industry can be, and also how you can make it your own. So for that reason, I've invited the wonderful Gemma Cuff from Gemstone Mortgages, who started her practice, her brokerage in 2016. So she is a seasoned advisor, you know, with a background in property and financial services for over 19 years, maybe coming up to 20 years now. And her desire was driven by providing an environment that could be more personable and supportive for her advisors, and prioritize the client needs above everything else. She has got an all-female based team. It's just happened, you know, we were talking offline, it just happened to be that way. So we're going to uncover how that came about. But for that reason, she's become a phenomenal leader and a champion for women in our industry, because she's been able to understand how to make the role really accommodating and flexible. And so she's moved heaven and earth to be able to accommodate, you know, the right people in her team to ensure that they feel like they're getting that personalized support, but also a career that they can be proud of. So without further ado, I am so excited to have a lovely chat today with Gemma Cuff. Hi, Gemma.
Hi, thank you so much for having me and for that lovely intro.
Oh, well, it's all true. And it's just everything that I've just seen about you and what your team say about you as well. So for those who are tuning in for the first time, or perhaps actually, you know, they know you from LinkedIn. And so give us an intro, like, who are you in a nutshell, and what do you do?
So we are, well, I'm Gemma. We are Gemstone Mortgages. Like you said, business started in 2016. Started as just me. I had a little office above an estate agent, and I worked for a corporate estate agent for 7 years prior to that as a broker. And a few examples that you've just given in that intro about the barriers that I found, and being a woman in the industry, I decided that actually I wanted to be able to create a bit of flexibility for myself for the future when I was planning to then have, you know, family, and to have my own time to be able to do that. So I decided to go self-employed, and I always thought it would probably be just me sitting at a table and just working alone, and it escalated and just grew quite naturally, to be honest with you. So we're going to be 10 in May next year as a company. And we are a team of 8 women. So I have 3 brokers and 4 admin that all do different types of admin for the team, which I can tell you about. And I stepped away from advising about 2.5 years ago now. So I take a little bit more of an operational role and manage and train and motivate, maybe annoy them slightly sometimes. Um, but yeah, so I've been able to step away from that because I've got, yeah, the right people there now that I trust with my client base, really. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a huge development and milestone in your business where you've stepped away from advising and you've delegated that to the team. So you're working on the business rather than in the business. Talk to us about that transition because there's a lot of advisors watching that probably aspire to get to that level.
It was really hard, to be honest with you, and it has taken quite a while. And I think it's just about getting the right people in your team that you can trust. So, I mean, the way that we all work in the office. So, well, they can choose to work from home if they need to. So that gives them the flexibility. But we see 85% of our clients face to face in the office. We've got a really lovely setup with like a kids' corner with a ball pit and like prosecco and beer in the fridge, so people actually do quite like coming in. And we find that we can build better relationships with them that way. So we've managed to build, because we're always together every day, like the same, we've all got the same ethos. We all know how we work. They all know what's expected of me, like the Gemstone way. So we've been able to, let's go, build that trust. So I don't I don't feel like my clients need me anymore because they're in safe hands. Um, but I had to kiss a lot of frogs to get to that place. Like, it didn't just happen. I'm very fortunate that I've got a very trustworthy and team, and I can leave my clients with them, and I know that they'll be in safe hands. So.
Why? What happened along the way when you say you had to kiss a lot of frogs? What was that?
I think it's my fault. I waited until I needed to recruit and then recruited very quickly. And I just had the wrong people, great people, don't get me wrong, but just not the right people for the business, really. So yeah, it was. I think I've learned a lesson from it, that to pre-plan and kind of try and see when I'm going to need to recruit so I can do that process properly and in depth, rather than making snap rash decisions because I need someone in. Um, so
Right.
that was.
Okay. So if someone's not quite ready to hire yet, but they know they need to, how do you bridge that gap between, because obviously at the beginning you're like saving every penny you possibly can when you're doing it all by yourself. And, to hire someone, there is a big cost. I remember having to hire my first recruit and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be parting ways with all this money. So like, what kind of mindset are you going into with that, having learned from your experience?
You're absolutely right for the money side. It's actually quite daunting because, I mean, all of my guys are employed. So if you're bringing on a broker, then you've got at least 3-4 months of basic salary, maybe a guarantee income before they've even like started writing you the business that's going to bank and bringing you in money. And then if that person doesn't work out, that basic salary isn't something that you can take back again. So it's I suppose it's about making sure that you do have the cash flow there. So thinking ahead and thinking that you might need that. Um, but I think one thing that I've then done with our recruitment is I've never had to use a recruitment consultant. I know they're fantastic. I'm not saying not to use them, but I think I shout about my team a lot on socials, especially LinkedIn, and I shout about what I do for them. Like, I do think I look after them. They have their wellness days. Yeah, I treat them like they're my little. I like my kids, really. But that I do treat them really well, and I think because I shout about that and I show the community what I'm doing for them, I've always had people that have actually come to me and asked if I've got a job, rather than me then have to say like, oh, I'm recruiting and waiting for all these CVs to come in. It's almost like I've got a backlog of people that I've been able to go to and say, I know I wasn't recruiting when you messaged me, but I am now. Are you still interested? Are you still looking? And they're people then that have already like looked into Gemstone. They kind of see what we're about and they feel like they want to be a part of that. So it's just that helps get the right people in as well, I think.
So what I get from that, Gemma, that you've just unpacked there is that you've built an employer brand as well. You've built a phenomenal personal brand because, you know, we all know who Gemma is. We know Gemstone. We know you're the founder. You're an award-winning advisor, and we see you as a leader on LinkedIn. But inadvertently, what you've done is you've built an employer brand where people look at you as a potential leader and employer that they would like to be an employee of. So that's definitely something that a lot of firms perhaps don't get right at the beginning because they're going on social media just for leads, 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 leads. And what they forget is to build that employer status of this is our team, this is our company culture. So is there any guidance on that of what you would tell like other brokerages that are on that scale kind of journey? You know, they're going from just me, just the advisor to I want to eventually recruit. And how would you build that brand? You know, if you were to start from scratch, Gemma, building your brand again, building your personal brand with all that you know now about LinkedIn and social media, what would you say? What would you do?
I think LinkedIn definitely would have been something that I would have honed in on a lot sooner. Um, I think that all the socials can be used obviously for different purposes. Like we don't use LinkedIn for to get leads in really, and I know some brokers do. They go got the self-employed market, and I think it's brilliant for that. And it depends on the connections that you're making. But I think what we've used LinkedIn for is to highlight what we do as a firm, and what we're about, and hopefully people then like that. So then when it does come to like the awards, for instance, we've discussed, I think doing them for us has been really important. One, it gives you confidence in yourself and in your team and in your brand. But it also then gives you credibility. Like if you're showing your clients that you are like making the finalists of all these people that have either been nominated or self-nominated, and you've then been picked as like the top 5, top 10, even just making that in from a national perspective, even your clients that know nothing about the mortgage industry, that looks impressive to them. So it gives you credibility, and then going on and winning it, obviously. And they when they come in the office and they see some of the trophies up, it does, and they go, oh, that, you know, and they do notice it and they do see it. So yeah, I think it's just about using the platforms in the right way. So yeah, LinkedIn isn't going to be one for us that we're going to use to get clients, but it is still in the background doing that, if that makes sense, because we use
Absolutely. I
like the
think,
brand.
yeah, I think this is what people miss. They're very transactional on social media. They think, Roz, if I post XYZ, how many leads will I get off the back of it? I'm like, you might not get just leads. You might get sponsorship. You might get partnerships. You might get book deals. You might get featured in the press. Like it's not just about the lead. And I often try and shy away from taking those type of clients on board if they're not willing to open up their mind or be coachable to that concept, because you can't just be transactional. You know, your LinkedIn, exactly to your point, what I was trying to say is that even though you're not using it to generate leads, you're using it to build your internal reputation. You have an internal reputation in our industry. You are known amongst your colleagues. You're known amongst your sideline of businesses, lenders, brokers, other. You know, it's not just about, oh hi, I'm on LinkedIn for leads. And you guys have done that really, really well to show us like the culture and the personality behind Gemstone as a business and as a culture, rather than we do mortgages, do you want one? You know, that's what I'm getting from your LinkedIn. So a lot of people shy away from going for awards. I mean, I've only got one, literally. This little, just as you mentioned it, this was given to me by a BDM of a lender. And it's not an official award. It's not It's not one that I won. I've not won any awards. So unfortunately, I have no trophies in my office. So I can't build trust and credibility from a trophy perspective, but I have been finalist and I've been nominated. My name in the hat. But a lot of people will shy away from that, Gemma, because they're like, oh, only bigger companies win that, or you have to buy a table to win that, or it's rigged. What would you say to that? Like to those who are really holding themselves back?
No, I think if you're proud of what you're doing and you are doing a good job, I think then you should shout about it. And I think it's a way as well of then you getting out there and networking with like-minded people, and sharing ideas. Like the amount of people that I've then that I just had conversations about with our businesses, and then I've been able to take a little bit of their idea and then like given them an idea. And without going to these sort of events, then you're not going to have that opportunity. You're going to be either stuck in your own office, or you're going to be in your own network, which is always great. But there's just so many different businesses out there that you can talk to and get to know. And yeah, it's the sharing of ideas. I mean, being a principal, I think like I run Gemstone on my own, and it can be a really lonely job because I mean, I've got people, obviously, I've got a team that I can bounce ideas off, but sometimes I need to talk about them, and that I can't talk to them about them. Do you know what I mean? So to have other people that are in the same boat as me and be able to go to them, and even if it's just to vent or to talk through an idea that I might have, I don't know if it's got legs. Like it's just about having, I suppose, those connections to be able to do it. And I mean, the paying for the tables, I've never paid for a seat at an awards do, because again, I've built relationships with lenders and providers, and that I've been invited to them, which is great. Yes, it's just about growing your network, speaking to the right people, and we've got fantastic people in our industry, and I've made genuine friends from being at these events. So, yeah, I would say get yourself out there.
Yeah, 100%. I've had to, push and nudge a lot of my clients to do that because they come to me because they're on their own, right? They don't have a marketing department. They don't have a team, right? So I become their team essentially. And then I'm like, come with me, just come to this event. And they're like, oh, do you think, as in like their reaction is almost like, do I belong there? And I'm like, I don't even know if I belong there, but I'm going. I was like, I'm Demi, we're
Thinking I'm going to be there.
I was like, this yellow dress has got to be worn. They're like, tags are on and I've got to take the tag off. So yeah, we're going to this event. And it's just as soon as you're in the room, as confident as you are, and I don't know if you get this, Gemma, because obviously I see you're very bold and confident. And I get that comment about myself too. People are like, oh my God, you're so confident. But I too get nervous. Like I'm not, yeah, like I wobble before getting there. And I do normally arrive on my own and I'm like, hi, like I hope someone talks to me, and I think, maybe I come across in a certain way on LinkedIn that people sometimes like might spot me in person. They're like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. They might be intimidated. I've had those comments before and I'm like, why? Because they've built up this, I don't know if you get that at all, like that LinkedIn Gemma versus like in-person Gemma.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, a lot of the time we are just wearing a mask, aren't we? It's the same when I go to an event like that. I'll always be anxious and nervous before going. Or even doing something like this. I was nervous even before, like sitting here waiting for this. Do you know what I mean? But all I'm doing is talking about myself and Gemstone. This should be easy. Like, um, or even like doing the morning meeting at work, right? I can confidently stand up in front of my team, but you still then sit, you think to yourself, "Oh, right, what am I talking about today?" Making sure it's structured, making sure it flows and it makes sense to them, and still feeling a little bit nervous about standing up in front of them. So I think anything where you're putting yourself out there, even the person that looks the most confident in the room, I think is still
Yes.
feeling something inside, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, confidence, I always like to say my one liner, which is like confidence isn't always loud. Just because you're wearing red, I'm wearing yellow, we're very big, bold colors. It doesn't mean that's the only way to represent confidence. There are other styles of confidence. There are other styles. And I think some people maybe look to characters like us and they think, oh, but I'm not like her and I'm not like him, and therefore if he's successful in that way, then it makes me feel inferior or less of because I don't look like them.
But then
Yeah.
I haven't always then been able, I don't think, to do that. I think that has grown with then my confidence in myself and again the business and the brand. And that's come from putting myself out there, being uncomfortable, and doing like the LinkedIn posts and being consistent with doing those. And also as well, like doing things like this, like podcasts or speaking at events. Like my network's had us on the stage before, like not just me, but my brokers as well. And I mean, Holly, bless her, she was so nervous the first time she was asked to sit up on the stage and talk about herself. She was like, "Why are they asking me?" But the confidence that gave her to once she'd done it was just amazing, and she just flew from there. Yeah, I think if you're given an opportunity or make the ask for the opportunity and just yeah.
Yes, ask. Yeah, that's a good point because um again, clients are like, "Oh, uh how do you get an award?" I'm like, "Well, you nominate yourself. Like you can do that." I mean, I obviously I've been in the industry 10 years now, so I haven't been nominating myself. I've got it just comes as a surprise. I'll get an email saying you've been nominated for this, and I'm like, "Okay, right, I have." And yeah, it's lovely. It's so nice. You already feel like you've won, but then that nervousness does come in where you're like, "Okay, I need to write. What have I done? What have I did? I'm now trying for that's the hard part. But it's then nice to be nominated. But I think some people starting out, they're like, no one's nominating me yet. And I'm like, that's because you've not put yourself out there, um, willing to receive that. I've been going to award ceremonies, even when my name has not been on the list, but I'm there clapping for everyone else. I'm there supporting, even though it's nothing to do with me in that moment. Um, so I really want to uh, steer our conversation now over to this major personal transformation that you've literally been going on, maybe for the past year. We can't not comment on the fact that you are, you know, blossoming in your body, right? You are literally, you've been on this journey, you've openly shared it, your weight loss journey and building your strength with weightlifting. What has that done to you and your business? Tell me a little bit about that journey. Where did that come from?
Genuinely, yeah, I let myself go. Let's in lock.
Oh, why? What, how? When? How did you go?
Yeah, it was in lockdown. There was obviously a lot happened with everyone in lockdown. Yeah, I just piled on weight and didn't see it happening, to be honest with you. And then come out of lockdown, I would go to the gym, but I wouldn't be consistent, and my diet wasn't right. And it got to the point. It was nearly 2 years ago, so January 2024, and I haven't had my children yet. I'm 39 next week and I want to have a family. So I was just like, I need to sort myself out I need to be healthy to be able to do this as an older mum. I need to be able to do this. So I engaged with a PT and I hit it hard. So I lost 4 stone in the first year, and then I've managed to keep it off this year. And but but then I've just weight trained, so my body's changed a lot in the last year still, even though I've not like lost loads and loads of weight still. But yeah, so just food, diet, water steps, and training. I've cut down now to 4 days a week of weight training. I was doing 5, and it was just one thing that I didn't compromise on. So yeah,
And this is something we have and share so much.
seeing your high rocks journey.
Not just high rocks, like that's just a new identity from like the last 6 months. I too went on like, when many years ago, maybe before you guys kind of knew me, but yeah, I went from like being very overweight and for my body, like being a size 16 back then was just really too much. Some people carry it off differently. I just couldn't. It was just unhealthy for me. It doesn't matter what size, but it's just to give you a metric. Like I went from size 16 to 8, and that was a huge change in identity of like who you become, isn't it? Um, Yeah, and then that's a non-negotiable for me. Now it's not about like being unhappy in my body and wanting to change it. It's about I'm so happy in my body and I want to make it healthy, and like it's a healthy it comes from a place of like I want to nurture my strength and my vitality and my energy. But what's that done for your mental well-being, your health, your business even? Have you seen any results differently to that?
Do you know what? I don't want to say that like when I was heavier and that the business wasn't doing well, because I'm not saying that it's kind of got better because I've lost weight as such. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to.
I do know.
Yeah. But I feel like because then my confidence in myself, my energy levels, I've not minded putting myself out there because I wasn't judging myself. So I knew that no one else, if I'm not judging myself, then no one else will be judging how I look. So because I felt happy in myself, I was happier to put myself out there, which then has, yeah, pushed the brand, pushed the team. Yeah, I mean, the team that they laugh at me. So I get like my 10,000 steps in the office because when I'm on the phone, I walk around, and they think I'm crazy. Or like if they're a little bit cold, I tell them to get up and do some star jumps instead of putting the heating on. Cost effective and also. So yeah, I think it's just yeah, having more energy, more focus, and liking yourself as well. Like I think that.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. That is 100,000% exactly the reflection that you get in all areas of your life, with your relationships and friendships and your business. And, when I've had like, because I train 5 to 6 times a week, to fit that many hours, to fit 6 hours a week. Sometimes it's actually 8 hours within 6 days
Yeah.
because I do a double session. That requires discipline. That requires organizational skills. I can't, if I get to a certain point in the day where I'm like, I need to do a hard stop at 4:30 because I've got a PT session at 5 till 7, like I will not negotiate on that time, which makes me more concentrated, more disciplined during my working days as well, like my working hours.
That's why I do mine in the morning. So my alarm goes off at 5:15, and back in the day, I would have snoozed that like over and over again. And now it's like I wake up almost like a minute beforehand. The light I put on immediately. I'm up. My gym stuff's packed, and I just go out the door.
Yeah, and that's how, and that discipline, when you do it, will show up in how you structure your day, how you structure your meetings, how you structure your team. And I'm actually going through this with a couple of clients at the moment. They're actually both men, and they've both massively and dangerously let their health go. Especially they're a lot older than yourself, so they're at the point of like, yeah, this is dangerous, and they did that because they focused all their time and energy. Like they're just always too busy because of the business, right? So they put their health last. And now I know I'm not a health therapist, but we're going through that journey through their content because I'm there to help them tell that story of like how they are in their 50s trying to realign their priorities. And it's just been such a, I'm just so proud of them because I'm so like into the fitness world, and I'm so passionate about health that it makes it makes me it makes them look unattractive from a business perspective, like business owner to business owner. If you were unhappy, overweight, undernourished, sleep deprived, and then you were like, "Oh, I've got a seven-figure business," and I'm like, "I don't want it. That you are not selling it to me, mate. Like, I don't want that." And so, I try and look at when I try and look at other businesses, I'm like, are you living and breathing that vitality? Because if your numbers are looking good, but you're not feeling great, what is the point? Like, what are you living for? So, and before we wrap up, Gemma, what is left undone on your list of things to do? What's on the horizon that you're like, yeah, the awards great, team great, leads great, branding great, everything's going great, Gemma. But what is left undone? What's next for you?
Things could be better always, couldn't they? We yeah, we do want to grow. I've got some plans for next year that were kind of on the horizon for this year, but I've had to push them back. So we launched our commercial arm about 18 months ago, but we did a very soft launch and it was kind of very much like if it lands on our lap, we'll deal with it. But we really want to grow that and like multi-skill the team to be able to do more things themselves as well, rather than just focusing on one thing. So all of the team get to choose something that they can specialize in. So I've got one that does commercial, one that's looking at later life, one that's doing business protection. So just to try and help them develop a little bit more to grow that, so they get to choose something. And then with that commercial will come the business protection because they're kind of like the same clients really. So that's on the horizon for next year. But yeah, so gentle growth. We don't want to, it needs to be organic. I don't want to like just hit it hard because if we do that, then we're going to lose the magic that I feel like that we've created within the team. So it needs to be right. It needs to be the right people, and the leads need to be right as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the gentle growth. I think a lot of people have an aggressive growth strategy, and there's no right or wrong. I mean, it just has to align with your vibe and your culture. You know how you do things, and it's got to feel aligned with your team because you want to maintain the same level of service, the same quality, but diversify. So I love that for you guys, and I'm looking forward to you launching and talking more about that on that journey. So thank you so much for being a money honey on the show today. Who out there? My final question. This is in the spirit of positive pollination, which is what we believe in, and that the token of paying it forward. Who out there like are your muse? Like, who else in the industry do you feel like is doing it, living it, breathing it, and you highly, highly respect them and, like what they do?
I mean, so messy. So I met Claire from Meet Margot
Oh,
properly at Mortgage Introducer Awards the other week. We had
nice.
a chat, and she's fantastic. She's got so many ideas. Very young business, but they are making waves, and she's amazing. So I've got a lot of respect for Claire. Um, um, I know that you've been working with Zoe from Mandalay. I think that again, as an advisor that's only been in the industry for a couple of years, I think she is putting herself out there, and I love that she's doing it. And she's a wonderful human being as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, I could sit here and name Powerhouse.
No, I love those names. And what I love is that Zoe, if you're listening to this, get your ass over here. I have been telling her to get onto the podcast, but it's that, oh, is it now? What am I going to say? But we've had Zoe on, and so if she wants to come back, she's always welcome. So we have had Zoe on the show, so please do catch up with her episode because she was absolutely fabulous. But I haven't interviewed Claire from Meet Margot, so I'm going to take your nomination and put that in the hat. So Claire, if you're listening, the crowd want to hear from you. People want to hear about, yeah.
I think her brand and everything will align very nicely with what you do as well.
Oh, beautiful. I can't wait to, yeah, I've not really met her properly. So, Claire, you've been nominated. I have to now stalk you. I have to now come and look for you. And we have to get you on the show because if you are, everyone's story deserves to be heard. And that's what this show is about. It's a free podcast that I run to share and highlight the brilliant, talented women that we've got in the mortgage industry, finance, construction, and properties. So, yeah, if you feel like you have a story to tell or you want to, you want to have a little bit of a highlight, please do come along or nominate someone that you would love to hear from. But for now, Gemma, all of your socials and information's in the show notes because I would love for people to connect and reach out to you. So thank you once again for being here as a money honey. And to everybody else, if you're new to this show, the Money Honey Show, please do subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all the previous episodes that we've had. We've actually interviewed over 100 women. So there's lots and there's something for everybody, lots of different topics, ADHD, dealing with the menopause during your career, having a baby and going back to work. There's just so much for everyone. So I'm sure there's an episode for you. And if there isn't, and there's a particular topic you want me to cover, please just ask. Thank you everyone for being here.